Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Inspirations by Dr. Gail. By the way, it's raining here, so if you're hearing background noise, it's probably raindrops. Today my topic is, how well do you like and understand yourself? This is part 3 of the series titled Creating Your Roadmap to Success. One of my favorite lines in the movie The Color Purple is when Sophia says, "All of my life, I've had to fight." These words have been a constant theme in my life. Here are some examples of what I mean. As a child, I had to fight neighborhood bullies. In junior high school, I had to fight in order to have enough confidence to keep talking after a therapist told me that I had a speech impediment. I've also had to fight the urge to be ashamed of my voice after being nicknamed man voice and repeatedly told that I have a horrible singing voice. As a college undergraduate, I had to fight to stay at the university after my advisor told me to drop out because according to him, I would never graduate. By the way, as a result of prayer and hard work, I graduated on time and on the dean's honor roll. As a parent, I've fought many battles for my children. As a teacher, I fought many battles on behalf of my students. As an African American woman, I've had to fight a lot of microaggressions, racial profiling, and other forms of racism. In the workplace, I've had to fight to be treated fairly and respectfully. As I stated in episode 6, What If I Had Killed Myself, there was a time in my life when I had to fight to keep living instead of choosing to commit suicide. In other episodes, I explained that I've had to fight against negative messages about my body shape and size, skin tone, and hair texture. But today, I want to talk about another ongoing fight that I've had against negative messages. My fight to understand, like, accept, preserve, and protect my God-given personality. Although I didn't realize it at the time, this fight actually started when I was a little girl. Here's how I explained it in Dear Beautiful, a self-empowerment book for Black women. For most of my life, I wanted to have the personality of my younger sister Tammy, who died in 1995. From the time that she was in elementary school, Tammy's brilliance impressed teachers and other adults. During childhood, some of the kids in our neighborhood nicknamed her Scholar. She was a straight-A student, well-behaved, and eventually graduated from law school. In fact, shortly before she died, Tammy was studying for the California bar exam. She made such a great impression on her law professors that they named a scholarship after her. Although Tammy's intelligence impressed people, her personality was the main thing that I admired about her. Tammy was a loner and a very quiet person. She minded her own business and kept her emotions under control most of the time. Whenever someone tried to get under her skin, Tammy would usually laugh and act like she wasn't bothered. Unlike Tammy, I've always had trouble hiding my emotions. In kindergarten, I cried so much that the teacher would make me sit in the restroom that was connected to the classroom. In first grade, I cried so often that at the end of the school year, the teacher told my mother, "Gail is too emotionally immature for second grade." Flunking first grade was one of the greatest blows to my self-esteem. At the same time that I was struggling at school, Tammy was thriving. She was so advanced academically that her third grade teacher viewed her as a genius and wanted her to skip a grade. But in my case, after flunking first grade, I realized that if I didn't stop crying at school, I would never make it to second grade. The problem was that I still had a lot of negative and painful emotions bottled up inside of me that needed an outlet. So I became an excessive talker whom teachers viewed as a behavior problem. Several of my elementary school teachers did everything that they could think of to shut me up. My third grade teacher put cardboard in my mouth and made me stand in front of the classroom. My fourth grade teacher made me stand in the coat closet. My fifth grade teacher often kept me after school for detention. As a former junior high school and high school teacher, I totally understand why excessive talkers are so frustrating to teachers. A lot of teachers don't know what to do with excessive talkers because this situation wasn't addressed in their teacher education programs. Because of this, like several of my elementary school teachers, today many teachers view and label excessive talkers as disruptive and defiant, and punish them instead of empowering and educating them by teaching them that there is a time to speak, a time to listen, and a time to work quietly and independently. This negative labeling is especially true if the excessive talker happens to be an African American student. Consequently, a lot of African American excessive talkers are sent to the principal's office, suspended, expelled, and pushed into the prison pipeline. And let me remind you that the U.S. has one of the world's highest incarceration rates. And through Ebony Eyes, what teachers need to know but are afraid to ask about African American students, I explained some of the reasons why students may misbehave at school. For example, students might be sending a message to the teacher about the teacher's instructional style or negative messages that students might infer from the teacher's attitudes and behaviors. Students might be attempting to hide an academic weakness. Students might be confused by conflicting messages that they get from home and school. Students might not respect the teacher. Personal problems might manifest themselves through inappropriate behavior at school, and students might have low self-esteem. In my case, the three main reasons why I talked excessively in school were boredom. The curriculum was boring. On top of this, I was legally blind and couldn't see the chalkboard. It wasn't until the summer before I entered fourth grade that I finally got eyeglasses. Another reason was that, as I said earlier, I needed an outlet for my emotional problems. Like a lot of students from challenging backgrounds, I had a lot of problems that caused me to live with toxic stress and anxiety. I'm so glad that today, instead of being automatically suspended and expelled from school, many students with toxic stress are getting help as a result of the huge emphasis on social emotional learning strategies. A third reason for my excessive talking was that being a talker is one of my strongest personality traits. Throughout my life, teachers, some relatives, and other individuals have done their best to try to shut me up. However, what they fail to realize is this: talking is a crucial part of my God-given personality. It's linked to my destiny as a teacher, motivational speaker, and author. After all, writing is merely talking on paper. I used to get punished in school for talking too much. Now I get paid by school leaders to talk to teachers, other school leaders, parents, and students. I thank God for giving me the gift of gab. Learning to understand, like, accept, preserve, and protect my God-given personality and realize that it is linked to my destiny has been one of my most important fights against negative messages. In next week's episode, I'll say more about this. But here's the main point that I hope you'll take away from today's episode. No matter what you've been told or what you've experienced, you have a God-given personality. Learning to understand, like, accept, protect, and preserve your personality is an important part of your roadmap to success. Stay tuned for this week's Personal Empowerment Challenge. This week's Personal Empowerment Challenge consists of 4 exercises from Dear Beautiful, a self-empowerment book for Black women. In your personal empowerment notebook or journal, please do the following. Number 1, describe your personality. Number 2, explain what you like about your personality and the reasons why. Number 3, explain what you dislike about your personality and the reasons why. Number 4, explain how your personality is connected to your purpose, passion, and the impact that you would like to have on others. In episode 7, Your Big Picture, starting at the end instead of the beginning, I talked a lot about passion, purpose, and impact. It might be helpful for you to review your journal entries regarding those topics in terms of moving forward with this week's challenge. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you'll tune in next week to hear Strong Women and Those Who Fear Them. This is part 4 of the series, Creating Your Roadmap to Success. For more information about Inspirations by Gail, LLC, please visit my website, www.drgailthompson.com. That's www.drgailthompson.com. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast and click the like button. You can do this through my YouTube channel, Inspirations by Gail. If you're interested in the theme music for this podcast, please check out music by Aaron Nimbus on iTunes. In the meantime, please remember this. No matter what you've been told or what you've experienced, you have a God-given personality. Learning to understand, like, accept, protect, and preserve your personality is an important part of your roadmap to success. Until next time, hugs and blessings. I'm Dr. Gail L. Thompson.